Good evening, everyone, and welcome to GrayManPrepping. I'm getting confused here, guys. It's been a long day with grandkids. It's time for Tactical Tuesday. We're going to talk tactics and gear tonight, specifically because tonight's topic is emergency communications. How's everybody doing? And if you listen carefully, you can hear three grandkids back in the living room back there. They're supposed to be watching Spy Kids. I hear them stomping around, getting bored with the movie they want to watch. So, anyways, let's see who all's here, because I know some more have slipped in here. I was trying to get everything set up here. Yeah, I got a bunch slipping in here. So let's start at the top. So first one in was Shady Hill Homestead, then Phelan Clan Wolf, Walt Rogers, Tammy Rebel Canners, Daniel Berry Sports Highlight, and people talked about the ad. Okay, ads, yeah, because people talking about ads here. So those that are new, first time watching this, and if you're watching this on a replay and you're wondering why is there a 5-minute countdown, it's because it's a live stream, and during the 5-minute countdown, ads pop up for people popping in, and that way they can watch the ads to support the channel and still catch the beginning of the show and not miss anything. So they can do both. They can have their cake and eat it too. All right. So next one in was Kaylin Strain, followed by Lewis. He's It's the Marshmallow Man. Jack at Geeky Gardens. Mark at Chef Tech is here. Uncle Utah Mike is here. Prepper for the Ages. Tammy Harder. Jay's in the house. And yeah. First-time watchers are often confused, not realizing that, hey, we've become our own little community family here. We help each other. We talk about things, and we joke and poke fun at each other. All right. If you can't poke fun at yourself or let somebody else poke fun at you, you have no business poking fun at anybody else. I think we all poke fun at each other. All right. And Diana too just came in. All right. Now I have talked several times on both channels, Camp Benton Family Compound and GrayManPrepping, about communications and the need for communications. And I just heard the door close, which means my daughter could be here picking up the grandkids. Yep, she's here. All righty. So communications. Communications is right up there, sharing the spotlight with information as being king. Information is king and power. If you have information, you have the knowledge and power to do stuff and everything else, and therefore information is king. But getting that information is communications. So, all right, yeah, I'm not even going to touch that one, Mark. You can poke fun at yourself on that one. So, communications is important for getting the knowledge and everything you're going to need to know how to respond to an event, a disaster, a hurricane, a tornado, an earthquake, or whatever. Hang on a second. Yeah. Eli's asleep.
And the kid stole every last key out of my key box.
Okay, go deal with him. Oh, it was Oliver that ran over there.
Okay, well, he broke it out of my bedroom, ripped it off, and sold it.
Yeah. Okay. Grandkids. Anyways, yeah, so the oldest one finally fell asleep. He was up early, like 2 o'clock in the morning. They had to wake him up and keep him awake because he had to go get a brain scan thing done, and they needed him in a certain mood. So, anyways, all right. So, let's see. First time. All righty. Howie's here. Food, forest, permaculture. I was just kind of reading the chat there. All right. So, communications is king for any type of information. Now, if those of you who are following along what was going on, Hurricane Helene and certain areas of North Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee, and stuff, and the lack of communications because the excessive rains that came down there washed out roads, took out power poles with telephone lines on them, took out cell towers and stuff like that. So there was communication voids there. And that's one of the things that they were trying to deal with, and Elon Musk tried bringing in the portable Starlink system so people could at least get on the internet and send out emails and communicate and find information out what's going on. So information is very important, in natural disasters. Interesting thing about that on the West Coast, where they have a lot of earthquakes, back in the day, a decent earthquake, 6.0 or greater would happen. A lot of the phones, and some of you millennials and earlier don't remember these type phones. You had a phone that sat on the desk or hung on the wall. The handset was cradled in it or sitting on the phone, and it could bounce out. And when it bounced out, it triggered a communications to the telephone relay centers, which were all over the place. And when they get a massive surge, it would trip the power breakers. And so they have to go through and reset individual neighborhoods' phone circuits. And so that's one of the things that they had to deal with was that. Well, nowadays, with everybody having, cell phones, it's a whole different other way of bringing down communications. Even back in 2005, when Katrina and Rita hit down there in Louisiana and Georgia and Alabama and everything down there, the powers that be, being as short-sighted as they were, no matter how I tried to tell them, when I worked for Homeland Security, that hey, we got cell phones, we got these new cell phones, we can communicate, it'll all be nice, cool, and fun, and everything else. And I kept saying, everybody's getting them. The phone lines are all gonna be tied up. And sure enough, as the sun came up, everybody was getting on their cell phones. How's it in your area? How's it in and talking back and forth, and emergency responders couldn't communicate because the circuits were all busy and tying up. The only thing that was getting through was text messages. And and it was like one of those things like, guess who was not savvy in using text messages? Emergency responders. So that was one of the things. So let's get on to the slideshow here and cover some information here for you guys. So, what is your gear? What are you going to use so that you can communicate? Well, who needs to communicate? Everyone. Why? Because everyone needs information. They all have special needs and all have information to give and information they need. So what can impact your communications? Well, lack of power, lack of phone lines, lack of internet lines, the environment, and a bunch of other things can all impact whether or not you're going to be able to communicate. And I just mentioned some of them. You get everybody on the phone trying to talk. With everybody in the family now having a cell phone, not just the one phone in the house. So now you got like 4 or 5 phones per household. Yeah, it's going to cause a lot of problems. So what are your options? Well, to look at what your options are, it depends on the event. Is there a power failure involved with the event, like happened with Helene, where power lines are taken out, substations are flooded out, and areas are without power? And believe it or not, most cell towers do not have an emergency generator. They may have backup pros. They may have backup battery that may last for several hours. But if all their towers are going down and Verizon and Cricket and T-Mobile only have so many generators in the area to get out to their towers, they got to figure out which towers are going to be the ones they're going to get power to first. Now, some towers are connected by landlines to switching stations. They're getting more advanced where they can have towers communicate to towers and relay the information along. That's why you see the towers are getting more and more antennas up there as they're, making them more functional to do things. Of course, with more function on them, they use more power. And when they lose connection to the grid, they drain those batteries a lot quicker. So power failure is one that's going to affect communications in the area. Flooding, again, taking out communication towers, taking out trunk lines, flooding underground communication cables in cities and areas, in developed areas, urban areas and stuff where they try to put everything underground to make it less unsightly, seeing the wires through the neighborhoods and the wires in the cities and stuff. Everything going put it underground. Well, sometimes when they're putting those junction boxes down underground in the manholes or in the communication boxes and everything else where they work, sometimes the things aren't as watertight as they thought they were, because people go in, they work on it, and they close it up, and a little wire can be sticking out, making just a little thing where water can get into it, or it doesn't line up right, and they just impact it down tight anyways, and it's got a gap in it for water to get in there. And if they're still using the copper wires, it's gonna short out. So flooding can impact communications that way too. Now, the big one that a lot of people like to talk about, EMP, which doesn't happen very often. Well, let's put it this way. We get EMPs more often than most people think. We get hit by CMEs. CMEs, sometimes the EMP that they create is very minor, up in the upper atmosphere or at the poles. And it doesn't cover the whole Earth. It's not very powerful. It's just, and that's why you see every now and then we get flickers in communications when the CME hits the Earth, and the social media go down for a little bit, or they have problems. But if we get a big one like the Carrington event, you can kiss everything goodbye. And it's going to be months or years to repair stuff. So EMP is the big one. So those are some events that are going to affect us. All right. Let me get back to some comment. Yeah, the old bottle opener on the side there. Yeah. Could have been. I've been busy with grandkids today and with the gas company out here, so I haven't been much on the news today. I didn't see any when I was on the computer checking stuff. I didn't see any news blips about it, but that's a possibility. Sometimes 911 centers go down, and the rest of the phone lines stay up, but 911 centers go down. I would say since 2020, I probably gonna need both hands to count the number of 911 centers that have gone down in the last 4 years. It's only down for an hour or half a day, but they do have times where those go down. Let's see here. Yeah. And Sumi's here, and she checked in properly, folks. She says, I'm lurking while I can. So, Sue, if you're here lurking and just listening, do like Sumi, just put lurking. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. All right. All right, so the next thing here we're going to go to now. All right, cell phones. Everyone thinks, well, we're getting away from landlines, so my cell phone's going to work just fine. I think I've explained already how cell phones are not going to be the kind of froze there with my computer, that cell phones are not going to be working in a major disaster around the area of the disaster, whether it's a hurricane, earthquake, tornado. Everybody's going to get on their phones, and the systems are not robust enough to handle everybody getting on at once. So, because there's going to be parents trying to text their kids or call their kids, kids trying to call their parents, and there's going to be, all sorts of problems going on. So, cell phones are not the answer to it. But keep this in mind that I got a workaround for on this a little bit. All right, the next big one everybody has to talk about, and is probably the most reliable, is ham radio. Now, I can talk for hours and hours on ham radio, but I'm going to keep it simple. Ham radio, you do not need to know Morse code to get a ham radio license. Okay? You are encouraged after you get your license to learn it so you can listen in on stuff, but you don't need to have it for it. Also, if you have a computer, there is software programs that you can hook your ham radio up to your computer, and you can have the software program to send and receive Morse code. So you type it in like you're typing an email, hit send, and it sends out the in Morse code. You get it out there going, and you can listen to people doing it, and it translates what they're sending Morse code into text for you to read. All right, so there's 3 levels of classes of class licenses. There's technician, there is general, and there's extra. Technician is the basic one, and you have quite a few frequencies in there. You got the 2 meter, the 440, the 6 meter and 10 meter frequencies, and a couple others. Those are the major ones that you can use. And each of these frequencies have hundreds of frequencies. So like in 2 meter, all the 2 meter frequencies, there's like several hundred 2 meter frequencies, and you can use those. And so that's good. Now, there are a lot of ham operators. There are a lot of ham radio clubs all over the United States, and a lot of ham radio clubs get licenses for what are called repeaters, which gives you more distance, and they set repeaters up, and each owner of a repeater can set the rules for how that repeater is used. They can restrict use on it and everything else on it. There are some networks where repeaters are linked, like the Gorilla Network in Northern California, to help people communicate all over the San Francisco Bay Area. There are, with ham radios, a program to do what's called the LAN patch, where you get on a frequency and you type in using your the 10 keyboard on your radio, type in, and you can activate a landline patch. So if you're outside of the area and you know the landline patch outside the area and using a repeater to get to it, you can activate that landline patch, dial someone outside the area, and talk to them. But everybody on that frequency is going to hear both sides of the conversation. But if it's an emergency and you need to report something, hey, that's the way to go, because then everybody knows, hey, we got a flooding going on over here. This bridge is out, that bridge is out. Debris building up against this next bridge downstream, it may go out, and you get that information out, and the appropriate agencies can respond. I didn't even think about pigeons seriously. And hey, back in World War II, World War I, pigeons were big. All right. Ham radio license as well. There are 2 things of ham radio. There is analog, which is most of the ham radio stuff, and which you can see some of the ones down below me here on the background and up there. And let me shift this around here. And again, it doesn't show too many on that side. So ham radio analog is what's been using from the beginning, and it is what 99.9% of all ham radio usage is. The other part of it is digital, and that is D-Star. And D-Star uses similar to repeaters, but they're called gateways, where you access the gateway, and the gateway is connected to the internet. So if the gateway is outside of the affected area, and you can hit the gateway, you can get onto the internet, and you can come out another gateway in a different city or a different part of the county or elsewhere and relay information that way. Analog cannot hear what's going on D-Star. You have to have a D-Star radio to use D-Star. However, guess what? There is an app for it on your phone. And I talked about it back when I first was getting it up. There's during field day and during Earth Day, there are a lot of radios out there, and they're giving free lessons and stuff. They set up in parks and stuff. They set up several trailers, and they invite people down to look and see and learn about ham radio and the digital and analog sides of it. And Glenn's in the house now. How the garden. So with ham radio, it is the most versatile for it. Now, so the technician is the base one. General is the medium one. I have a general license. Extra is the one that goes up in really high frequencies, including X-ray transmissions and stuff like that, which only a few people ever do. And if they do a lot of Morse code over computers up in the extra range, so they can communicate a lot of stuff. Now, ham radio also works with the military under the Mars program. And then there is ham radio works with counties under the Aries program. And so there is a lot. Tammy Harder's here. So there is a lot of interaction with other agencies using ham radio. During the World War II, Korean War especially, and somewhat the Vietnam War, ham radio was used to allow families talk to certain servicemen in certain areas via relays. And if you watch the old TV show MASH, you'll see several times where they used ham radio operators to communicate where they couldn't get through the right chain to get something they needed sent over expedited through from stateside to get it shipped over on a military flight to get something they need in the MASH unit. Mars is Military Auxiliary Radio Service. And so there's a bunch of different things doing it. I wish, you want to talk about Mars, I wish I could get a friend of mine who's still alive to come on my lives, but he's getting rather elderly and frail. He was one of the founding members of the band Journey, and he's in the Mars, he's in the Aries, he's in everything else. He taught me a lot about ham radio after I got into it. Mother Earth Garden Club, how you doing? And I just had a brain fart, and I can't remember his name. I can tell you all about him. He was one of the founding members. He dropped out because his parents paid his way to go to medical school. So he went to medical school as an operation room nurse. He raises the big cockatoos. He has 4. Last time I saw him, he had 4 of them. He's in the San Francisco Bay Area. He's about 5 miles from where the staff sergeant lives. But he can explain everything so good. Has an extra. He's had an extra for like 20 years or more, actually 30 or 40 years. But yeah, but ham radio gives you a lot of options to communicate with. And so, ham radio can be very simple. You don't have to be an expert in electronics to do ham radios, especially with the new ones. You're not putting together with kits like my father-in-law built ham radios with kits. Everything's pre-built, and it's really inexpensive nowadays for the starter stuff. Hey, Moon over Miami. And yeah, so you can get set up on that. And I will show some stuff on that more depending on how much time we got here. All right, let's go to the next one here. CB radio. All right, it's basic. That was the first radio I was dealing with as a teenager, young teenager. For Christmas, we got the little walkie-talkie CB radio walkie-talkies, and low power, but we could hear the truckers, on the freeway driving with it. But they couldn't hear us because we were just talking. There was such low power. We were just talking in the neighborhood. And then I had a CB base station, kids base station, had a little bit more power, and it took eight D-cell batteries to power it. And then I had CB in one of my trucks for quite a while, with the big white antenna on the back on the bumper. And CB, truckers are still a lot of them are still using CB so they communicate. And there's a lot of channels that talk about using CBs for emergency preparedness, and it works for your area. It's a lot bigger area than what you will in the next one here, which is the FRS GMRS radio. FRS is Family Radio Service, and GMRS, I'm having a brain fart here, General Mercantile. I'm not sure. I can't remember what the name is for right now. I believe Kaylin said she had her GMRS license. Just going back up here, looking at it really quick. Yes, Kaylin has her GMRS license. Some of the FRS frequencies overlap with the GMRS frequencies. GMRS can have more power than FRS. FRS says, oh, you can do 21 miles. Yeah, line of sight. You get up on top of this hill. You get up on top of this hill. There's nothing in between. Yeah, you can go 21 miles. A bird flies in between you, you lose connection for a little bit. But FRS works just in the neighborhood around town. You get more buildings in the way, more trees. It limits the use of it. That's why with the CERT program, a lot of them will have FRS, and with each team member, you'll then have someone with CB. So the FRS members can communicate in the neighborhood as they move around. The person with the CB would then, or the ham radio would contact the police department or fire department, the person down there for the CERT team that's down there, and relay messages that way. So local sharing information locally is good for CB and FRS, GMRS. Now, we're going to get technical here on it. There are several systems. GoTenna was the first one to do it. It's a Bluetooth system. So how does that work? Well, GoTenna, you get these little modules, and you get the small cheap ones, you get bigger ones, and basically they get more power, and they're Bluetooth, depending on what's in the area and stuff, upwards of a mile or two. If you're out hiking in in the desert, you got several miles you can go on it, and your cell phone works over GoTenna. So you link your units to each other, and you link your units to your cell phones, and that way, all right, if you're at Great America, and the kids go off one way, and all of a sudden, it's like, hey, we need to be back together. You can communicate each other using using your cell phones, because some of the parks are putting dampers on cell phone use. But if you got GoTenna, you're not using the cell phone tower system. You're using GoTenna or one of the other ones like that. Oh, yeah. And it's mesh networks. But, you know, you'll see it'll be GoTenna, GoTenna mesh, and there'll be some of the other ones. There'll be some, whatever it is, mesh. And, you know, it's a network that can do it. Now, you can get yours, GoTenna systems, and have someone else's. And you guys, hey, all right, you can get together and you can link your systems together so you can cover a bigger area. So that's one option there. What's the last one here? Rapid radio is not all it's cracked up to be, but it is. In non-emergencies, it's really cool. It's like having an FRS radio that can reach across the United States. It uses the cell tower stuff. So hang on a second here. Let me go in here. I forgot to type this up beforehand. How does radio work? Boom. Get it up there. Boom. All right, here we go. I'm going to move this over here. So I typed in, how does rapid radio work? And it lists how it works and all the different things that work on it. You know, this is, you know, and so it uses intelligent radio protocol to ensure secure high-speed radio communications. It's always on. And it uses, you know, rapid radio provides high-speed voice communications for individuals and groups. There's no inherent size limitations yet that they have found out for groups or fleets. And it also does the AWS emergency. You know, a different one, different AWS. This is Amazon Web Services as well. It's hosted on, but so there's a lot of things to do this. Oh, I see that questions, Mother Earth. I'm not forgetting it. And so there are, you know, this is really, however, when the cell towers go down, guess what? Like cell phones, rapid radio goes down. So those that thought they had rapid radio as a great thing in the hurricanes and the cell towers went out and they were PO'd because their rapid radio didn't work, just like their phones didn't work. That's when I think I'd do it. So let me bring something else up here for you. And we're going to go to Amazon, folks. Amazon, yes. Ham radio handheld is what I'm typing in. Okay, so how are these? Okay, so what do you got here? We got, and you got to be, you know, make sure, because there are some of them that are ham radio and some of these that are not. Some of them are just two-way radio walkie-talkies. Some of them, you know, are set up for ham radio. All right, and so you get a pair here. This first one, a pair of them for $58. And if you use the coupon, you save another 9%. And these are Baofangs. And my wife and I have several Baofangs. And you can get one with a charging station and several extra batteries. You get all the parts you need. You can get the thing, we can plug it into the cigarette lighter. You can get the earpieces. You can get the handheld. You can get the comes with the USB thing, so you can pre-program it off your computer. So you know, these here, the handhelds have miles, and it also depends on, like, this is an 8-watt one, so you got a pretty good thing on it. Plus, you can hook up 2 repeaters, and that really extends your stuff on it. Now they come in all the different bands as well. Some of these here are saying dual band. So generally, if it's a dual band, it's a 2-meter 440. Although some of them are going 2-meter 220 or 220 440 for the different ones. Now let's see if I can do it here. Look for it here. So let me type in another one here. So we're going to look at the handheld quad, Q-U-A, quad band. Now, quad band usually has four in it. Now, here you got quad bands. Here you have quad band in a mobile car one, and your quad bands are usually 440, 2 meter, 6 meter, and 10 meter. All right. But there are some of them where you can program what bands you're going to use on them. So you can go to that. You can use the less used 220. Like this one here is a tri-band ham radio. So it says ham radio on it, tri-band, which means it probably doesn't have the 10 meter on it. But like I said, the prices have come down, and they continue. They've come down quite a bit over the last year, where everything else has been going up. These have been coming down. So, but then besides Bofang, you can get into the more expensive ones. Let's see here. Yaesu, one of the best ones out there. Now you notice the Yaesu is 140 for the 2 meter 440, and it's a 5-watt one. But this one's built a lot more bulletproof than the Bofangs. And so rather than being China, it's made in Japan. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, so if you're, like I said, my wife and I have several Bofangs. We got a bunch of Yaesus. We have the Yaesu car ones that we have. We also the car ones go up to 30 watts or higher. I do have some a booster, so I can take my handheld into the car, plug it into the booster, and now I'm putting out 30 watts from the handheld from the car antenna. So there are different things to do. And then let's go ham radio, base station STATN, and let's see what it's going to show. So now you're getting up into like $1,000 for the this one here, but this one is 100-watt output. Okay, yeah, you're going to be this is the one that you can reach across state lines really easy. And my mother-in-law has 2 of these, one for 2 meter, one for 440, and separate ones. And then they also have, she still has her husband's one, which was a dual band one as well. And they still have a lot of stuff there on that. So now going back to this one here, and go back up here. EMP. Yes, EMP will take out ham radios. That's why when you see a lot of prepper channels that are ham radio operators and stuff, they talk about their Faraday cage and their backup radios that they keep in a Faraday cage protected, so that after an EMP, they have gear that will still work if their other gear fails. Now, a lot of the serious guys dig up the old radios that take tubes. And generally, a radio with tubes will do it. Okay, hang on. All right, got a question here. You do GMRS? Yeah, GMRS are generally point-to-point, radio to radio. There are some GMRS repeaters which have nothing to do with cell towers, and they will extend it. Ham radio have nothing to do with cell towers unless you're using D-Star. So GMRS radios, FRS radios, ham radios all work when cell towers are down. So there's, and when it comes to radio community, there's no such thing as a dumb question. Because in this, if you don't understand it, it's not a dumb question. You need to know it. Um, uh, n- um, no, not quite true, Mark, because the radios themselves they may be broadcasting analog, but they got circuit boards in there, and the circuit boards are what goes bad. Now, if you happen to have the old school ones with all the, when I say circuit boards with the transistors, the diodes, the rheostats, and all that crap in it, but the older schools that have the tubes are a lot more robust against EMPs than the modern transistors and stuff. If the police department has a ham radio, and a lot of them have in their EOC, Emergency Operations Center, have ham radios, and they don't have quad bands and stuff like that. They have a single band for 220 for a 2 meter, a single band for 220, a single band for 440, a single band for 6 meter, and a single band for 10 meter if they're properly set up. And yeah, you can get a hold of them. And if the CERT teams are activated, you're going to have a lot of certs out there that are linked to the police department that have the ham radios. The Martinez Martinez Police Department, when they got the new digital radios for the police officers, they kept their old radios and turned all the old radios over to the CERT program, which was the parent company of the CERT program for Martinez. And the CERTs set up radio. They used the old police radios and set them up in the CERT trailers, and kept it set up. It helped set up the monitoring station in the EOC. There's a big desk for 4 CERTs in there to receive information to relay to the police department in the EOC. And then they have the team leaders were assigned the old police radios. And so they police departments that are smart and keep the old radios, when they get the new digital ones and keep the old analog radios, they have a very robust system and you can communicate with them. Oh, and Kaylin points out a thing. Same with CB. No cell towers needed. Thank you, Kaylin. All right. So so EMPs can affect all radios, including really old school radios that have tubes, but they're less likely to affect the ones with the tubes. Now, if you get a Carrington event one, it may or may not blow out tubes, but if you got spare tubes sitting in a box, it ain't going to affect those at all. So you just change out your tubes and you're back up again. Which brings us, hang on a second, let me get down here to another point as far as EMPs, which a lot of preppers seem to have a thing with, is that, all right, we have an EMP. You have a couple of those cheap Bofang radios set aside in either in a Faraday cage or in a Faraday bag, so they're totally protected. EMP hits. Half hour later, okay, I think it's done. Do not open up that bag. When the Carrington event happened, it lasted for over 24 hours. And I think there are some cases of it being lasting 48 hours where they're still picking up stuff on it on the telegraphs 48 hours after it hit. Okay, CERTs. CERT. CERT stands for Community Emergency Response Team. And let me see here. Do I got that one up still? I do. So give me a second while I put up CERT here. Okay. Boom, CERTs. The Martinez area Community Emergency Response Team. Yeah. And I'm proud of them. This is the trailer I got for them right here. Back when I was there, and I helped set it up. I trained most of these. There's Brian Lindblom, who's the current chair of it. I trained him. Yeah. I can't. I had so many names. Faces are familiar. I can't remember all the names, but about half these people here I trained. And certain there's one for Richmond. There's all the different ones around, and they do they do training for disasters and stuff. They got all sorts of teams all over across the United States, and so yeah, they're Hanover CERT, Fayette County CERT, Rochester Community Emergency Response Teams. They're national, and it's all managed by FEMA. Quote, it's when I helped write the syllabus for it, it was released through FEMA to all the communities. Once you're on a local level, it's either the fire department or police department that run it. Okay, and then each state has an oversight committee that coordinates all the stuff within that state, and they get funding from the federal government to distribute to the CERTs in their state. So that's what a CERT is. If you want to learn about communications, go join the CERT. You'll learn all about first aid. You'll learn about triage. You'll learn about mass casualty instances, how to respond. Hey, Gunslinger Outdoors, how you go? And there's a lot of things with CERT, that every prepper, as far as I'm concerned, should belong to the local CERT because it gives them a whole nother network of information. So, CERTs, and CERTs teach you how to use FR radios, and they work with other organizations, the local radio clubs. They work with the Salvation Army Saturn program, which does free ham radio classes, and they coordinate classes. And it's something they'll if they have enough ham radio operators, they'll put on classes themselves. So, yeah. Let's see here. Back to what was I talking about before? Oh yeah. So if there's a EMP and you have your stuff put away, leave it put away for a week. Seriously, leave it put away for the week, especially if it's a massive EMP, and there's nothing. It comes out on the news. You probably, we got a massive EMP, going on. I mean, CME coming towards Earth. It's going to produce a massive EMP, and we're expecting everything to go down. And we got 4 hours for it to get here. If it's coming in 4 hours to the Earth, it's going to be massive. And so if you have your ham radio, your CBs, GMRS, FRS extra radios packed away, do not open that Faraday cage or Faraday bag for at least a week. You're just going to have to live on it before then, because the fluctuation of the ionosphere, the magnetosphere, and everything, you could have waves of pulses going around, for days or even a week afterwards. So you want to wait at least a week. And then there's ways you can check to see if things still go on. You get if you happen to have a voltmeter in an old school voltmeter, you can take that out of a bag, go over, stick one probe in the ground, and touch a barbed wire fence or a long fence and see if you get any sort of fluctuation on it. If you get anything on it, you're still getting current going around. So there are a lot of options given, with the GoTenna, the ham radio, CBs, ways to communicate using that type of communication. There are other communication ways, which I've talked about on other live streams, dealing with signaling, ways to signal, ways to put out, things out in front of your house saying, hey, we've evacuated, we've gone elsewhere where nobody knows but family members. Like if you happen to have a Raiders flag or a 49ers flag or a Dallas Cowboys flag or whatever, you turn it upside down. That lets your family members know we're gone this way here. Or if you have some potted plants on the, you got a porch, you got potted plants sitting on the banister there, you take them off. That's to let them know that, hey, we're gone. different ways. Yeah, secondary pulses too. Let people know that, hey, your family members know you're out of the area. You've gone to the bug out location or whatever. And secondary pulses, going back on the EMP. If you followed Kaylin, could you please put up Suspicious Observers link? Kaylin and I and a bunch of others watch Suspicious Observers every day. And they've shown that we're counting back, Thursday, Friday, there were several M-class flares in one day, but they were impulsive short ones. A non-impulsive one where you get the flare and it lasts for a while. That produces a good CME. But if you're getting, and the thing is though, if we get a massive CME that's powerful enough, it's going to wipe out the satellites and we're not going to be able to see what's coming next. So yeah, there may be secondary CMEs, there may be pulses, there may be other stuff going on. It may be a week later or a month later, another solar flare goes off because the sun's still active doing it, and you may get another CME. So that's one of the things. It's one of those things you try to prepare for, but you can't prepare for every instance on it. Thank you, Kaylin. There's the link to Suspicious Observers. Ben Davison has a morning show called The Morning Show. It comes out about 7 p.m. Eastern, give or take, because sometimes it's early, sometimes it's late, because he's got last minute information coming in. Yeah, exactly. We had an X-class flare, but it was an impulsive one. So, yeah. I mean, usually his videos in the morning are 4 to 6 minutes. That's it. Just an update what's going on in the scientific community about space weather and everything else going on. And so really good information there on it. What else here? Oh, if you're going to do a Faraday cage, and some people talk about taking a trash can and lining it and putting electronics in there and putting the lid, a metal lid on the metal trash can, and using the metal heating duct tape to seal it to keep electricity to get in there. Pyrex. Mark sent me a link today on some Pyrex stuff that his wife had gotten, the glass, the plastic lid on it. And it's Pyrex does not, it's not being glass does not conduct electricity. So you store something in Pyrex in a Faraday cage. It's insulated from the Faraday cage in case there's a gap where the electrical current starts seeping through and stuff, which is a whole another animal to talk about. But I used to add a whole bunch of different Pyrex stuff to my Amazon wish list because my wife and I are trying to get away from the plastics because of the crap that the plastics are breaking down into, dumping into our food. But we're going back to glassware like Pyrex and stuff. And Pyrex, if you're going to do it, that's something to have. If you get some at the I'm losing it, Kaylin, where you go shopping at a lot. Thrift stores. You can pick up Pyrex at thrift stores, and boom, it's insulated from your homemade Faraday cage in case there's a leak on it to do it. Yeah, and it would depend on the size of the EMP, what type of what sort of event we're going to get from it, and how bad it's going to be. Yeah, a rapid succession. That's what we had, was it 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, where they had one flare go out and then a little bit bigger flare right behind it and a third flare behind that. Well, as the first flare CME goes, this one behind it, even if it's the same size, is going to go faster because this is clearing dust particles and everything else out of the way. So the second one's going to fast. and the third one's going to be faster. And they hit boom, boom, boom in a 24-hour period. No. A cargo container will not work as a Faraday cage. Tell you what, guys, I will add to the list here about Faraday cage. It's been about 2 years since I did Faraday cages, so I'll add a live stream on Faraday cages. But a Faraday cage, an ammo can where it has the rubber gasket on it, and you lock it down and it makes it airtight, that will make a good Faraday cage. But on the inside of the metal, you got to line it with something rubber, or get the spray rubber or the dip coating and paint it so that whatever you're putting in there isn't touching the metal. Okay, but that keeps the transient electrons on the outside from getting in and bouncing all around. Okay, we've covered a lot of stuff here. So I'm going to add to the calendar of stuff, Faraday cages. I'll put it on there right now. So right now it's off in December 3rd is where we got it put right now on it. But coming up here, so Thursday is back here on GrayManPrepping is the Midnight Ride, 10 o'clock Eastern, which is midnight in Rio de Janeiro. And I may change the time on that once we go off of the stupid daylight savings time. Maybe not. I may have to pick a different place that's at midnight. So Friday on Camp Patton Family Compound, the topic is going to be winterizing your livestock for those that have chickens, goats, pigs, or even thinking about getting them. Information to have ahead of time. Always good to have information before you buy the livestock. Cows, horses, pigs, goats, sheep, alpacas, you know what I'm talking, turkeys, whatever. So we talk about that, ways to winterize them. Saturday, back here on GrayManPrepping for Survival Saturday. The topic is down the rabbit hole spy software programs. So we're going to be talking about that. And Monday on Camp Patton Family Compound, the topic is dehydrate or can. And so we're going to throw out some options to talk about stuff you definitely want to can, stuff that you may want to dehydrate, stuff you can do either before, stuff you do not want to dehydrate at all. So we're going to be talking about that on Monday. Next Tuesday, the topic is ready for Halloween. And people are going, what? Halloween? What are you talking about Halloween? Why do you need, simple. You need to be prepared for Halloween because there's idiots out there doing some stuff. And if you have kids or grandkids, you want to be ready for Halloween, not just for giving away candy, but for what kids are bringing home. And we're talking about things you can do to keep your kids safe. We'll start out with that, and we may see where it goes on that one. So that's some of the stuff that's coming up here. Let me see. So Camp Patton Family Compound is 10. I believe it's 10 away from 9 away. 9 subscribers away from hitting the 5,500 mark for a giveaway. And let me look over here at GrayManPrepping. And here in GrayManPrepping, get a refresh on this one here. And get updated. I think we're 100 and something away from the 2,000 mark. Yeah, giving out truth and stuff and teaching people isn't as exciting for the platform to push. So we're 127 away from the 2,000 mark here on GrayManPrepping. Yeah, absolutely, Tammy. Safety first at Halloween. I remember when I was a kid, people would give out caramel apples they made. And it wasn't until I was in my early teens, mid-teens, when I was no longer trick-or-treating, idiots started putting razor blades in apples. So now nobody gives out apples because they know they're just going to get thrown away. Oh, yes. Beehives too. Thank you, Kaylin. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I got to go make sure I add that to the livestock, bees. All right. Hey, always learning something, always adding something new to learn. Plenty of knowledge everyone needs to learn. All right. Oh, going back to the Faraday. Put everything in cardboard in a Faraday box. Yeah. Anything you can that's non-conductive. You keep your stuff from touching the actual Faraday cage as well. Faraday bags is another thing altogether, and we'll talk about that when we actually do the Faraday one. I'll explain what Faraday bags are. All right, everyone. Remember, stay happy no matter what life throws at you. Stay safe. Don't go out and do anything foolish. Keep adding to your preps: water, food, medicine, clothing. Learn a new skill every month. Plant an indoor garden because we got the indoor garden challenge starting on January 1st. And learn to learn. All right. See you around.